All right, let's talk about Jakarta EE. If you ever stared at that long list of specifications and just felt completely lost, trust me, you are not the only one. But in the next few minutes, we're going to slice right through all that complexity and give you a super clear map to get you started. So let's jump in.
You've got JPA, JIXRS, CDI, JMS. It is an absolute alphabet soup of acronyms, right? It's so easy to feel like you have to learn dozens of different things just to build one simple app. But here's the little secret. You really don't.
And really, feeling that way is totally normal. So what we're going to do here is give you a new way to think about it, a framework, really, for understanding how all these different pieces actually fit together. That way, you'll know exactly where to focus your attention.
You know, the absolute key to getting your head around Jakarta EE is to realize it's not one giant single thing. Nope. It's more like a big collection of individual specifications, and it's all designed to be modular. This means you get to pick and choose exactly what you need for your project, and leave the rest.
This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. The platform is intentionally broken down into all these little pieces, and that modular design, that's what gives Jakarta EE all of its power and flexibility. It's what allows it to be used for everything from these tiny little microservices all the way up to massive enterprise systems.
Now, to make things even easier, Jakarta EE bundles these specifications into something called profiles. The best way to think about a profile is like a prepackaged toolkit. So instead of having to pick out every single screwdriver and wrench yourself, you can just grab the whole toolkit that's designed for the job you're about to do.
And there are three main toolkits, or profiles, that you can choose from. Each one is built for a different kind of application, and each one builds on top of the last. Let's break them down.
Okay, so this table shows you exactly how these toolkits stack up. You see, you start with the core profile. That's got the absolute essentials for modern microservices, things like REST and JSON support. Then you've got the web profile, which has everything from core, but it adds the key stuff for web apps, like servlets for handling requests and persistence for talking to a database. And finally, the full platform includes everything from the web profile, plus all the heavy-duty enterprise tools like messaging and batch processing.
So to put it simply, core is for your small, fast services. Full platform is for those giant, complex systems that have to connect to, well, everything. But the web profile, that, my friends, is the sweet spot. For almost any new project you're starting today, this is going to be your go-to.
So let's get practical for a second. Let's say you're building a modern backend. It's a REST API, and it's going to be feeding data to a front end built in something like React or Vue. So what do you need? You got to handle web requests, talk to a database, manage your code's dependencies, validate incoming data, and of course, secure your endpoints.
And here it is. This is probably the most important, most empowering part of this whole thing. You don't need the entire full platform. You don't even need the whole web profile. For that modern app we just described, you really only need to get good at about 6 core specifications. That's it.
These 6 are the absolute workhorses of modern Jakarta EE development. If you master these, you can build some unbelievably powerful and solid applications. So let's go through each one so you know exactly what it's for.
All right, first up, Jakarta Servlet. This is the bedrock. It's the low-level foundation that defines that whole request and response cycle inside a Java web server. Pretty much everything else in the web world is built right on top of this. And while you might not write servlets directly all that often anymore, it's so important to understand that they are always there, working under the hood.
Next up is Jakarta REST, or as you'll usually hear it, JXRS. Now this is where it gets fun. This is the framework that lets you take a regular old Java object, sprinkle on a few simple annotations like @path to define a URL or @get for an HTTP method, and boom, you've instantly exposed it as a live API endpoint. So how do they actually work together? Well, picture this. A request hits your server. The servlet container is the first to grab it, and then it hands it off. JAXRS then takes a look at the URL, finds the Java class with a matching @path annotation, runs the correct method based on the HTTP verb, and sends the response right back to the client. It's this really beautiful, elegant flow from our raw request straight to your business logic.
Okay, what about data? That's where Jakarta Persistence, or JPA, comes in. This is the standard for talking to databases. Its whole job is to be a translator. It lets you work with the Java objects you know and love, while it handles all the messy business of writing the SQL to save, update, and pull data from your database tables.
And this slide really captures the magic of JPA perfectly. On one side, you have your clean, object-oriented Java code, with your classes marked as an @entity. And on the other side, you've got your structured relational database.
JPA is literally the bridge that connects these two worlds seamlessly. So the crucial thing to remember is this: you get to think in objects, not in SQL.
So, you've got your API endpoints, you've got your data layer, but how do you connect them? Well, that's what CDI is for. It is the glue that holds your application together. Instead of you having to create all your objects by hand, you just declare what you need, say a database service, and CDI automatically provides or injects an instance for you. This makes your code so much cleaner and way easier to test.
When data comes into your API, you have to make sure it's actually valid, right? Jakarta Bean validation gives you a standard, annotation-based way to do just that. You can add rules like @NotNull or @email directly onto the fields in your Java classes, and the framework will automatically enforce them. It prevents bad data from ever even reaching your business logic.
And finally, our sixth pillar, Jakarta Security. This is the standard API for protecting your application. It gives you the tools to handle both authentication, which is basically answering the question, who are you, maybe with a JWT token or a password, and authorization, which answers the question, okay, now that I know who you are, what are you allowed to do?
So once you've really got a handle on those 6 specifications, you have an incredibly solid foundation. But what happens when your project has needs that are a little more complex? Well, that's when you can start reaching for the specialized tools in the full platform.
The full platform adds some really powerful tools for very specific problems. Do you need to send messages between different services reliably? Use Jakarta Messaging. Need to run a massive data import job overnight? That's a perfect job for Jakarta Batch. Have to connect to some ancient mainframe? Jakarta Connectors has you covered. These are the specialist tools for when the job really demands them.
Okay, so after all of that, what's the big takeaway here? How should you really approach learning Jakarta EE without just getting completely buried?
It's honestly this simple. Start with the web profile. Think of that as your main toolkit. Then, focus all your energy on mastering those 6 core specifications we covered: servlet, REST, persistence, CDI, bean validation, and security. With just those under your belt, you can build almost any modern web application. Then, and only then, when a specific project needs it, do you go and explore the more advanced stuff.
You know, the complexity you see in Jakarta EE isn't really a flaw, it's a reflection of its power. And by approaching it with a clear path like this, you can turn that complexity into a huge advantage. You have the map now, so the only real question left is, what are you going to build first? Thanks for watching.